Had an affair with my boss thinking no one would find out. Now my husband's divorcing me and my kids won't speak to me. I was Elena Rodriguez, chief financial analyst at one of the largest telecom companies in the country. I pulled down $275,000 a year, managed a team of 12, and had the ear of C-suite executives. My husband Gabriel was a cardiovascular surgeon at the city's premier hospital. We were that couple, the one everyone envied at galas and school functions. I threw it all away for Kieran Walsh. Kieran was our executive vice president of strategic development. 45, divorced, with that specific combination of power and charm that makes smart women stupid. He had this way of leaning back in his chair during meetings, studying everyone like he knew their secrets. When he focused that attention on you, it felt like being chosen. The affair started during Project Titan, a merger that would reshape the telecommunications landscape. As CFO's right hand, I was assigned to work directly with Kieran on financial modeling and risk assessment. Those first few weeks were purely professional. I was good at my job, King excellent actually, and he recognized it. Not in the patronizing way most male executives did, but with genuine respect. Your analysis on the spectrum valuation just saved us $40 million, he told me one night, 8 weeks into the project. We were alone in his office, the city lights sprawling beneath us. Gabriel's lucky to have someone who understands the game at this level. That should have been my warning. The moment he mentioned my husband's name while looking at me like that. But I was arrogant enough to think I could handle it. Gabriel doesn't really understand what I do, I said. He saves lives. I just move numbers around. You reshape entire industries, Kieran corrected. That's power most people can't even comprehend. See, Gabriel had never said anything like that. Gabriel came home from his surgeries exhausted, talked about arterial repairs and patient outcomes, and fell asleep watching Netflix. He was a good man, a brilliant surgeon, but he didn't make me feel like I could conquer the world. Kieran did. The physical part started after the Singapore conference. We'd just closed a critical part of the deal, and the adrenaline was intoxicating. The hotel bar, the whiskey, his hand on my lower back guiding me to the elevator. I knew exactly what I was doing when I followed him to his room. I wanted it. I wanted him to want me. That first time was explosive. 15 years of marriage, 2 kids, a reputation to protect, none of it mattered when he pressed me against the window of his suite, 30 floors above Singapore's financial district. I felt powerful, desired, alive in a way I'd forgotten existed. This stays between us, I told him afterward, already planning the next time. I'm excellent at keeping secrets, he said, and I believed him. For 8 months, I lived a double life. I became an expert at deception. Late nights at the office became routine. Gabriel never questioned it because merger work genuinely required insane hours. Weekend conferences that only required 1 day stretched to 3. I opened separate credit cards, used cash for hotels, created elaborate alibis. The SX was incredible, but it was more than that. Kieran and I spoke the same language: market dynamics, hostile takeovers, financial engineering. After we FK'd, we'd lie in bed dissecting earnings reports and strategizing corporate moves. He'd trace patterns on my skin while explaining derivative structures. I'd never felt so intellectually and physically satisfied. I got reckless. Started taking calls from him while Gabriel was in the shower. Wore the lingerie Kieran bought me under my clothes at family dinners. Once, I FK'd Kieran in his office at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, then picked up my kids from school 3 hours later, still feeling him on my skin. Sophia, my 16-year-old daughter, started noticing things first. "You've been weird lately," she said one night while I was making dinner. "Like, happy but also sketchy." "Just work stuff, baby. Big deals make me a little crazy." She looked at me with Gabriel's eyes, dark, perceptive, clinical. "Sure, Mom." Mateo, 14 and obsessed with soccer, noticed nothing. Or so I thought. The thing about arrogance is it makes you blind to your own patterns. I thought I was being random with my hotel choices, but I wasn't. I thought I was careful with my digital footprint, but I wasn't. I thought Gabriel was too buried in his work to notice, but he wasn't. Gabriel approached my exposure like he approached surgery, with methodical precision and zero emotion. I found out later he'd suspected for 3 months before confirming anything. He noticed I'd stopped complaining about specific colleagues, that I was protective of my phone, that I was doing Pilates again and had gotten my hair professionally colored every 3 weeks instead of every 6. He hired a private investigator. Not some sketchy guy from Craigslist, but a former FBI agent who specialized in corporate espionage and high net worth divorces. The man followed me for 6 weeks, documenting everything. Photos of me entering hotels, timestamps of arrivals and departures, infrared images through hotel windows. He also hacked into my separate credit card statements, recovered deleted texts through some forensic phone technique, and built a timeline so detailed it included what I ordered from room service. Gabriel compiled all of this into a file. A literal surgical report on the death of our marriage. He confronted me on a Sunday morning. The kids were at his mother's house, he'd planned that too. I was sitting at the kitchen island, drinking coffee and reviewing quarterlies, when he placed a manila folder in front of me. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it." The first photo was me entering the Fairmont at 11:47 a.m. on a Thursday I'd claimed to be in client meetings. The second was Kieran entering 12 minutes later. The third was us visible through the window, his hand in my hair. My body went cold, then hot, then numb. "Gabriel, there are 137 photos," he said, his voice clinically detached. 73 pages of text conversations you thought you deleted. Credit card statements. Hotel receipts. Would you like to review them all, or can we proceed to next steps? I tried to speak, but my throat had closed. "I've already filed for divorce," he continued. "My attorney has copies of everything. I've also informed HR at your company, anonymously for now, but that can change depending on your cooperation." "You can't." "I can. California is a no-fault state, but infidelity affects asset division when marital funds are used for affairs. You spent $37,000 of our money on your activities. That will be factored into the settlement. The kids will be told the truth in an age-appropriate way. I've already consulted a family therapist about how to minimize psychological damage." He was so calm. So f***ing calm. Like he was explaining a surgical procedure to a patient. "Don't you feel anything?" I finally screamed. 15 years, Gabriel. Doesn't that mean anything?" "It meant everything," he said quietly. "Until you decided it meant nothing." He left that afternoon. Took a suitcase, his medical journals, and his dignity. Left me with the folder and the ruins of my arrogance. Update 1, 2 weeks later. The last 2 weeks have been a masterclass in destruction. Every move I make backfires. Every attempt at damage control creates more damage. Gabriel wasn't bluffing about HR. The anonymous tip hit their desk Monday morning. By Tuesday, I was sitting across from our Chief Human Resources Officer and General Counsel, trying to explain why there were security footage timestamps showing me entering Kieran's office at unusual hours. "This is a consensual relationship between adults," I said, clinging to whatever professional dignity I had left. "A relationship between an EVP and a direct report raises serious concerns," the General Counsel replied. "Particularly given Mr. Walsh's influence over your performance reviews and compensation." Kieran threw me under the bus immediately. Said I'd pursued him aggressively, that he'd tried to maintain boundaries, that he felt pressured given my control over financial reports that affected his division's budget. The King coward actually produced emails where I'd been flirtatious, conveniently omitting his responses. They gave me 2 options, resign with 3 months severance and a neutral reference, or be terminated for cause with nothing. I took the severance. The kids found out through Instagram. Some King teenager whose mom works in my former company's legal department posted about the drama at mom's office. Sophia saw it, pieced it together with my recent behavior, and confronted me. "Is it true?" she asked, standing in my bedroom doorway like a prosecutor. "It's complicated, baby. Did you cheat on Dad? Yes or no? Relationships are complex? Yes or no?" "Yes." She looked at me with such disgust that I actually stepped backward. "With your boss? That ancient guy with the weird cologne who came to my recital?" Kieran had attended Sophia's dance recital 6 months ago. An innocent supportive gesture from a colleague, I'd told Gabriel. "Sophia, please. You're disgusting," she said. "Dad saves people's lives and you're King some corporate sleaze in hotel rooms? Watch your language, you don't get to tell me what to do anymore." She turned to leave, then stopped. "I'm living with Dad. Mateo too. Don't try to stop us." Mateo wouldn't even look at me. My baby boy, who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who called me mama until he was 12, who trusted me completely, he couldn't stand to be in the same room. The custody mediation was brutal. California typically favors joint custody, but my kids were old enough to have their preferences considered. They both chose Gabriel. The mediator suggested a graduated visitation schedule, every other weekend, building to shared custody. I don't want to see her at all, Sophia told the mediator. She destroyed our family for sex. Your mother loves you, the mediator started. She loves herself, Sophia cut her off. If she loved us, she wouldn't have done this. Gabriel's attorney presented the financial documentation methodically. Every hotel charge, every dinner, every gift I'd bought Kieran with marital assets. The $37,000 became $43,000 once they added interest and penalties. My attorney, who I was paying with my rapidly dwindling severance, tried to argue for a more equitable split of assets. My client contributed significantly to the marital estate. While spending marital funds on an extramarital affair, Gabriel's attorney countered. We're also prepared to demonstrate that Mrs. Rodriguez's actions directly damaged Dr. Rodriguez's professional reputation and caused emotional distress requiring therapy. Gabriel was in therapy. My surgeon husband, who hadn't cried when his father died, was seeing a psychiatrist twice a week because of what I'd done. The house would be sold. Proceeds split 70-30 in Gabriel's favor after the mortgage and my affair expenses were deducted. Retirement accounts divided the same way. Gabriel got primary custody with me having supervised visitation every other weekend until the kids felt comfortable. I tried to text Kieran throughout this nightmare. He blocked my number. Blocked my email. When I showed up at his office, security escorted me out. He'd already moved on to F. King, analyst from the Boston office, 28 years old with an MBA from Wharton and no baggage. Update 2, 1 month later. Rock bottom has a basement. The house sold in 3 weeks. Gabriel had it staged professionally, erasing every trace of our life together. I wasn't allowed to be there during showings. My real estate agent, Gabriel's Choice, naturally, sent me photos of my home transformed into a sterile showpiece. Sophia's art wall had been painted over. The kitchen where I'd taught Mateo to make enchiladas was now stark white and chrome. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Reseda. It's a 40-minute drive from the kids' school, when they actually agree to see me. The complex has a smell, cooking oil and industrial carpet cleaner, that clings to everything. My neighbors fight in Russian at 2 a.m. Finding a new job has been impossible. The telecom industry is smaller than people think at the executive level. Word travels. I'm either overqualified for positions that might hire me or radioactive for positions that match my experience. We've decided to go in a different direction, has become the soundtrack to my life. I applied for a position at a competing firm, senior financial analyst, $50,000 less than I was making. The interviewer, a woman I'd actually mentored early in her career, could barely make eye contact. Elena, off the record? Everyone knows. Kieran Walsh has been very vocal about the situation at industry events. He's positioning himself as the victim of a subordinate's aggressive pursuit. No one will touch you. That's not what happened. It doesn't matter what happened. It matters what people believe. My first supervised visitation with the kids was at a neutral location, a family counseling center that smelled like disappointment and floor wax. Gabriel dropped them off, didn't acknowledge me. Mateo sat as far from me as the room allowed. Sophia spent the entire 2 hours on her phone. How's school? I asked. Fine, Mateo mumbled. Soccer season starting soon? Yeah. I'd love to come to a game. Please don't, he said quietly. Everyone knows. Jaden's mom saw you at that hotel with him. She told all the other moms. They call you. Things. What things? SLT. Homewrecker. Dad's woe ex-wife. Each word was a knife. I'm still your mother. You're the woman who betrayed Dad, Sophia said without looking up from her phone. That's all you are now. The supervisor made notes. Everything was documented. My failure as a mother catalogued in some court file. I started drinking. Wine at first, then vodka because it was cheaper and worked faster. I'd sit in my apartment, scrolling through old photos of my family, torturing myself with memories of when I had everything and wanted more. Gabriel started dating 3 months after separation. A pediatric nurse from his hospital. 32, beautiful, kind. The kids love her. She goes to Mateo's games, helps Sophia with calculus. She's everything I wasn't, present, faithful, content. I drunk texted Kieran from a new number, you destroyed my life. He responded once, you destroyed your own life. I just FK'd you while you did it. Update 3, 6 months later. I got arrested last night. DUI. Blew a .15 after wrapping my leased BMW around a mailbox 3 blocks from my apartment. No one was hurt, thank God, but it doesn't matter. This is the end of any custody rights, any remaining professional reputation, any chance of rebuilding. The cop who arrested me was professional, almost kind. "Ma'am, is there someone you can call?" There wasn't. My parents are dead. My sister hasn't spoken to me since the divorce details became public. My former friends chose Gabriel, he was the victim, after all. Kieran had erased me from existence. I called Gabriel from jail at 3 a.m. He answered on the second ring. "Elena? I need help." Silence. Then, "I'll send my attorney's contact information. Don't call this number again." "Gabriel, please." He hung up. Bail was set at $10,000. I had $3,000 in my account. The rest of my severance had gone to rent, lawyer fees, and vodka. I sat in county jail for 72 hours before my public defender got me released on my own recognizance. My apartment had been burglarized while I was locked up. They took my laptop, my television, my grandmother's jewelry that I'd hidden in a shoebox. The violation felt appropriate somehow, another layer stripped away. The kids found out about the arrest from social media. Someone had posted my mugshot on Facebook with the caption, "How the mighty have fallen." Sophia sent me one text, "You're pathetic." I am pathetic. I see that now with crystalline clarity that sobriety brings. I had everything, a brilliant, faithful husband who loved me, 2 incredible children who trusted me, a career that challenged and rewarded me. I had everything and convinced myself I deserved more. Kieran represented more. More excitement, more power, more validation. He made me feel like I was special, above the rules that governed ordinary marriages. I was arrogant enough to believe I could have both lives, smart enough to manage the deception, deserving enough to take what I wanted. The truth is simpler and uglier. I was a bored housewife with an executive title, playing out some midlife crisis fantasy with a man who saw me as an easy lay with a good understanding of quarterly reports. My court date for the DUI is next month. I'll lose my license, pay fines I can't afford, possibly serve jail time. Gabriel's attorney has already filed emergency custody modification papers. I might never be alone with my children again. I've started working at a tax preparation firm in Van Nuys. $22 an hour, no benefits. My boss is 26 and treats me like I might steal from the register. My coworkers know something's off about me. Why would someone with my resume be working there? But they don't ask. I saw them all last week at Sophia's spring dance recital. Gabriel, the kids, and his girlfriend. They looked like a family. Happy, complete, healed. I wasn't supposed to be there. The restraining order says 100 yards, but I had to see her dance. I stood in the parking lot, watching through the auditorium windows. Sophia was magnificent. She'd gotten the lead, the one she'd practiced for in our old living room while I made dinner. After the performance, she ran to Gabriel, to his girlfriend, threw her arms around them both. Matteo was laughing at something on his phone, showing it to Gabriel's girlfriend like she was someone he trusted. They've moved on. Created a new family from the ashes of the one I burned. Kieran got promoted last month. Executive Vice President to President of West Coast Operations. His wife, they reconciled, apparently, threw him a party at their estate in Malibu. I saw the photos on LinkedIn before I deleted my account. He looked happy, successful, untouched by our collision. Final update, 2 years since discovery. Tomorrow marks 2 years since Gabriel placed that folder in front of me. 2 years since my arrogance collapsed into rubble. I'm writing this from a different apartment, studio, but cleaner than the last one. No more BMW, I take the bus to work now. No more executive anything, I'm a bookkeeper for a chain of dry cleaners in Glendale. $40,000 a year, health insurance, and anonymity. The DUI cost me 6 months of weekends in county jail, $15,000 in fines and fees that I'm still paying off, and any legal right to see my children unsupervised. The supervised visits stopped anyway, the kids refused to come. The court can't force teenagers to see a parent they despise. Sophia's 18 now, heading to USC on a partial scholarship for dance. Gabriel and his wife, they married 6 months ago, are paying the rest. She posted family photos from her graduation last month. I wasn't invited, but I watched from my car across the street. She's become this confident, radiant young woman. In every photo, she's leaning into Gabriel's wife like she's her real mother. Matteo made varsity soccer as a sophomore. Gabriel sent me one email about it, not to share good news, but to inform me that Mateo had legally requested to change his last name to just Gabriel's, dropping Rodriguez entirely. "I'm granting permission," Gabriel wrote. "Don't contest it. Let him have this." I didn't contest it. How could I fight for a name I'd made synonymous with betrayal? I've been sober 8 months. Not because of some profound awakening, but because I can't afford to lose this job. My supervisor, Carmen, knows something about second chances. She hired me despite the employment gap, despite the questions my resume raised. Sometimes she brings me extra lunch, pretending she made too much. We don't talk about our pasts, but I think she recognizes something in me, the specific exhaustion of someone who burned their own life down. Gabriel's medical practice has expanded. He's chief of cardiac surgery now, published in major journals, speaking at conferences. His wife is pregnant. Mateo posted about becoming a big brother, how excited he is. They're building a life, a future, a family that exists in the space where I used to be. I still dream about Kieran sometimes. Not sexual dreams, but nightmares where I'm trying to explain something urgent and he keeps walking away, his face blurred, his voice muffled. I wake up gasping, reaching for a phone that isn't there, to call a man who never existed the way I thought he did. The truth I've had to accept: Kieran didn't seduce me. He didn't pursue me. He simply existed, and I projected onto him everything I thought was missing from my life. The excitement, the danger, the validation, I created that narrative. He was just a divorced executive who liked F. King as financial analyst because she was good at her job and eager to please. When it threatened his real life, he discarded me like a miscalculated projection. I destroyed my family for a fantasy I created in my own head. Last month, I ran into one of my former team members at Target. She pretended not to see me, but I heard her on the phone in the next aisle. "You'll never guess who I just saw. Remember my old boss who FK'd the EVP? She looks like SHT. Karma, right?" She's not wrong. This is karma, or justice, or just the inevitable consequence of my choices. I had a man who loved me, who built a life with me, who trusted me with his whole heart. I had children who believed I was their safe place. I had a career built on talent and hard work. I had respect, stability, love, trust. I traded it all for 8 months of hotel rooms and the delusion that I was special. The last time I saw Gabriel was at the mediation for Mateo's name change. He's still handsome, maybe more so now. Happiness suits him. He looked at me with nothing, not hate, not pity, just nothing. Like I was paperwork to process. "Are you well?" he asked, the same tone he probably uses with patients. "I'm surviving." "Good," he said, and he meant it. Not cruelly, just clinically. "The kids. They're doing well. Really well. Because of you. Because of them. They're resilient." "Do they ever?" I stopped. I couldn't ask if they ever mentioned me. I was afraid of the answer. "Sophia's choreographing now," he offered, a small mercy. "Creating beautiful things. Creating beautiful things from destruction. Like her father, rebuilding from ruins." I wanted to apologize again, but what was the point? Sorry doesn't resurrect trust. Sorry doesn't un-F someone else. Sorry doesn't give back the years of therapy my children needed, the innocence my betrayal stole, the family photos they had to throw away because looking at them hurt too much. People ask why I didn't fight harder for my kids, why I let them go so completely. The truth is, loving them meant accepting their choice to hate me. Every forced visitation was another wound for them. Every mandated phone call was another reminder of betrayal. The kindest thing I could do was disappear. So I did. I work, I go to therapy, I attend AA meetings where I'm just another anonymous F-up trying to make it through the day. I don't date. I don't socialize. I exist in the margins of life, a cautionary tale whispered about at holiday parties and PTA meetings. Sometimes I walk past hotels Kieran and I used, and I feel nothing. They're just buildings. Sometimes I drive by the house Gabriel and I built together, now owned by a young family who has no idea what ghosts live in those walls. Sometimes I sit in parking lots watching other families, intact, laughing, oblivious to how fragile it all is, and I want to scream warnings at them. But mostly, I just live with it. The weight of what I did, who I became, what I lost. It's a life sentence I gave myself, and unlike my marriage, it's one I'll keep. I thought I was untouchable. I thought I was smarter than consequences, above the rules, deserving of more than what I had. I thought wrong. I didn't just lose my family, I revealed who I really was underneath the success and the titles and the perfect life facade. Someone selfish enough to traumatize her children for orgasms. Someone stupid enough to mistake manipulation for love. Someone arrogant enough to think she could rewrite the rules of cause and effect. My name is Elena Rodriguez, and I destroyed everything for a man who meant nothing. That's my story. That's my confession. That's my warning. Don't be me. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.